The scene begins with the trial of Antonio in a Venetian court. The Duke warns Antonio that the plaintiff, Shylock, is a heartless and merciless person. Antonio accepts his fate and declares that no legal means can save him now. Shylock is called in, and despite the hopes of the Duke and others, he remains firm in his demand for a pound of Antonio's flesh instead of repayment. When asked why, Shylock simply states that it's his personal desire fueled by hate and loathing for Antonio. Bassanio attempts to reason with Shylock, but his efforts are in vain. Antonio tells Bassanio not to waste his time, accepting his impending fate. Bassanio offers a large sum of money, but Shylock refuses. The Duke questions Shylock's lack of mercy, reminding him that he cannot expect mercy if he shows none himself. Shylock justifies his demand by pointing out the mistreatment of Venetian slaves and claims his right to the pound of flesh. However, the Duke delays judgment until a learned doctor arrives from Padua. Bassanio tries to comfort Antonio, promising to give his own life in place of Antonio's. Antonio, however, has lost all hope and asks Bassanio to live on and remember him. Nerissa, disguised as a lawyer's clerk, delivers a letter from the absent doctor, Bellario, to the Duke. Meanwhile, Shylock prepares to carry out his sentence by sharpening his knife, causing fear among Antonio's friends. The letter reveals that the doctor is ill but has sent a young and wise lawyer named Balthasar in his place. Portia, disguised as Balthasar, enters as the Doctor of Laws. She is familiar with the case and emphasizes the importance of mercy, comparing it to gentle rain from heaven. She argues that mercy blesses both the giver and receiver and is an attribute of God. However, Shylock remains unmoved, demanding the penalty of the bond. Portia confirms that the bond is legally binding and that Shylock can collect the pound of flesh. Shylock praises Portia's wisdom but is stopped from carrying out the sentence when she reveals a condition. He can only take a pound of flesh and not shed a drop of blood. Otherwise, his lands and goods will be confiscated. Shylock realizes he has been defeated but offers to accept 3 times the amount of the bond. Portia decides against it and declares that Shylock will receive only the pound of flesh, no more and no less. She also highlights the law forbidding seeking the life of a citizen and commands Shylock to beg for mercy from the Duke. The Duke pardons Shylock, sparing his life but reducing the penalty to half of his goods. Antonio agrees to take half of Shylock's goods to give to Lorenzo upon Shylock's death, with the condition that Shylock converts to Christianity and transfers everything to Jessica and Lorenzo. Shylock reluctantly accepts and asks to leave the court. The Duke invites Portia to dinner, but she declines. She also refuses Bassanio's offer of payment for her services. Antonio and Bassanio urge her to accept something, so she requests Bassanio's gloves and his ring. Bassanio hesitates as the ring was a gift from his wife with a promise not to part with it. Portia pretends to be offended and leaves. After Antonio pleads with him, Bassanio sends Gratiano to give the ring to Portia. They plan to leave for Belmont the next morning.